All right, guys, last video. I am so proud of you guys for everything that you've done. You know, if you try and you fail, it doesn't matter. Self-teaching is so hard. You guys are working tremendously, and I'm just so proud of everything you've done, and I miss you so much, and I wish I could be there teaching you guys this live, but you guys are doing amazing. So let's get it last video. The last thing we're going to talk about is what a chord is. A chord is a segment whose endpoints are on the circle. So these are the lines that aren't diameters, right? This is a line from like here to here that doesn't go through the segment or the center, but it is still a line inside the circle that goes from endpoint to endpoint. So we're going to take a look one theorem at a time. Again, your target's going to be just like this, so I really think you guys are going to rock it out. It says, in a circle, if a diameter or a radius is perpendicular to the chord, then it bisects the chord and the arc. So that means that if the chord and the radius make a right angle, that this piece is congruent to this piece, and this half of the arc is congruent to that half of the arc. So let's take a look at our first example. It says, given that the chord, BC, is 15 centimeters away from the center of the circle, and it has a radius of 25, find BC and DE. So let's go back. BC is 15 centimeters away from the center. So that means that this distance here is 15. It says the radius of the circle is 25 centimeters. And then it says to find BC and DE. So it wants to know this whole line BC, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find BD. And as you can see, we've got a right triangle. You should feel it in your bones. What we're about to do next, a little Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And so remember, C has to be the hypotenuse side across from the 90-degree angle. A and B doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to call this one A. So I'm going to say 15 squared plus b squared equals 25 squared. And then you guys can be typing this all in your calculator. I know these ones, though. Equals 6. Oops, that's not a 6. And then we get b by itself so that we can solve. And then that number is obviously way too big. There's no way that distance would be 400. So remember to square root both sides. And b equals 20. So now this is going to be on your target. Please don't forget it asked for BC. Okay? And BC is this total distance from here to here. But we know that since that's a right angle that they cut this in half. So if this is 20, this is 20, which means the whole distance BC is 40. Okay? Please. I know a ton of you guys on the target are going to just give me BD or whatever the number is. Please remember to double it. And then to find DE is actually really easy because they've already given us the distance from A to D is 15 and the whole radius is 25. I just need to know 15 plus what will give me 25. And so that means that the segment D to E has to be 10. Woo. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's go ahead and look at our last one, our last example for all of NTI. You guys got this. I'm so proud of you. You got this. Let's do it. In a circle or congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if their corresponding chords are congruent. So that means that if this chord is congruent to this chord, then this arc is congruent to that arc. Okay? And then vice versa. If this arc is congruent to that arc, then this chord is congruent to that chord. So we are trying to solve for the value of x in this problem. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for those congruent chords, which means, those congruent arcs, which means that this chord is congruent to that chord. And congruent means the same thing as equal. I miss teaching you guys because that would be like one of those things where I'd say, what? And you guys would shout out equals, and I miss that, and I miss you guys. But congruent is the same thing as equal. So when we talk about shapes and lines, we say congruent. But when we talk about their numbers, we say that they're equal. If this line is congruent to this line, then the distance 12x minus 2 is congruent or is equal to 34. And so we solve. We divide. And we get x equals 3, and that's it. That's all it wanted, was just x. We don't have to go back and plug it into anything. Easy breezy, beautiful CoverGirl. You guys should be incredibly proud of yourselves. You made it to the end. I'm really proud of you guys. I love you so much. I hope I can do Google Meet and see some of your faces before the end of the year. But just know that I love you guys so much, and come visit me next year as soon as possible and show me your faces and let me know that you're doing good. I love you guys. Proud of you forever.